Can you click the record button below?
Yeah, it started.
Recording started now.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys, today we will be having a session by Amit Kumar on how to make business sense from data. So Amit is founder of RAM, and which is a automotive aftermarket ecosystem. So what they are doing, they are integrating the entire automotive aftermarket to build a trust and transparency between the different stakeholders and help them to increase their business efficiency and make better decisions and strategy for their business growth. So Amit, the next slide. So let me tell you something about the coding nest. So as I had a past experience of founding few ventures, so those days I used to face problems for the technology, and I used to see that every business needs technology, be it a spaceship to be it a kind of hotel chain or restaurant chain. Everywhere codes are being used to increase the efficiency and make the better processes. So then I thought that by mixture or blend of a business and technology, better ventures and innovations can be done. So we came up with a thought that we can create some learning and development center where we collaborated with some individuals like Mitesh is from technical side and I am from business side. There is Sumit and one more guy. So and Gitika. We all people started with this aim that we can build a community of some passionate people by giving them training and learning at a center so that we can bring some innovative products in the market in future. So so for that we come up with the community based learning. Like we collaborate with the people from industry, like today we are doing with the Amit to bring some industry expertise for our students. So that kind of learning we brought. Even our students, those who know few things, they want to share their knowledge. So we keep on running those knowledge sharing sessions as well. So this way we go for the collaborative and community based learning that we can teach one and other person. So for ramp, Amit will let you know how ramp is doing and what is ramp. So Amit.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Amit.
All right. So before I begin, Mitesh, may I have a brief understanding of the kind of people whom we have on call today? So are all of these people freshers towards data science and data analytics, or are these people who have been getting trained on certain aspects of this particular subject?
I think we have a mix of profile, either from students or from maybe from like a technical background. Like all have like some kind of an experience. So all are like industry veterans. So maybe yeah. So you can talk about both business as well as technical.
All right, all right. So guys, yeah.
I think those who are not speaking, can you please be on mute, please?
All right. So okay, so like Baljit mentioned, my name is Amit and I'm the founder of RAM. And at RAM, what we essentially do is we are designing a technical platform for the automotive aftermarket. So let me start with a brief of what exactly our automotive aftermarket by definition means. So after automotive aftermarket means or refers to the industry which serves or caters to the vehicle needs once a vehicle has been sold for the first time. So the moment a vehicle comes out of the showroom, anything and everything that happens with the vehicle is referred to as automotive aftermarket industry. So it could be its servicing, it could be its compliance, it could be its insurance, a lot of things. It could be the sale and resale of the vehicle again. It could be a lot of more things which are associated with the upkeep of a vehicle over its lifetime. So we identified an opportunity that the automotive aftermarket world over is a $700 billion billion dollar industry. And the irony was there was absolutely no platform or technology available which could have consolidated the whole industry and help this industry to become more structured and become more efficient. Because this industry is the one which supports about 70-80% of the vehicles which are currently running on the road over a period of time, and it's hence it becomes extremely important for this industry to get organized and have certain tools and systems in place with which they are able to offer consistent and good quality of vehicle upkeep experience for a vehicle owner. So in the advent, what we had done is we had designed the automotive space framework that we refer to as. So the automotive space framework, the term space refers to as service providers and consumer enablement, or it could also mean seller partners and consumer enablement platform or framework. So why do we call this as an automotive space framework? Because this is the framework that we have created in which we allow all the stakeholders from this industry, ranging from stakeholders like those vehicle workshops. We are talking about the vehicle owners themselves. We are talking about the insurance agencies. We are talking about the RTO services, the roadside assistance and emergency services. We're talking about the fleet organizations, and we are talking about a lot more other such stakeholders who are first of all allowed to register on the platform and get connected on this platform. So what happens thereafter? So thereafter, this particular platform enables all these stakeholders to manage first their internal business processes. So as far as their internal business processes are concerned, it helps them in their business process management, general business process management. We're talking about their financial management. We're talking about helping them with better planning and execution methodologies, and finally, with all the data that is being collected, we are helping them with. Just give me a second, somebody.
Yeah, Amit, I message you.
Okay. So we are helping them with analytics and a lot of understanding basis data, different kind of data, which gives them a lot of visibility upon what is happening in their business. There's a lot of transparency and control that is built in, and hence these businesses become efficient. On the second level, what we do is we allow all the stakeholders to connect with each other also. So for an example, the workshop it can connect with the spare part suppliers, or the vehicle owners can connect with the insurance agencies. We allow the spare part suppliers to connect with the spare part manufacturers. We allow workshop to connect with agencies which are providing human resources or technical resources for their business. So it's not only about the internal business processes of their own business, but it is also about being able to connect with the other stakeholders much more seamlessly through this digital platform. And finally, once all these interactions or transactions start happening, there's a lot of additional value addition that we do through means of data analytics and intelligence that we have built into the system. So this helps them in building better strategies. They have lower acquisition cost of their customer, or maintenance, or retaining their customer. There's a lot of cost arbitrage that is being transferred to each of these stakeholders as an advantage. We have a lot of more intelligence that has been built in, and finally, what the space framework enables them with is a continuous learning, and thus helping the industry to become smarter day by day. So data is the new oil. How many of you would agree, or how many of you rather would not agree with this particular statement? May I have a, let's say, a show of hands, or let's say a small vote on this? People who believe that data is not the new oil.
Hi, Amit. I think I'm completely agreeing with this because oil is something which actually requires for engine to work, and the data is something. Let's say if we do have a raw data, then we can uh, do some engineering and we can extract some information from it. So I'm completely agreeing with this statement.
Any other people who might want to contradict this particular statement, or might want to say that no, this is not true, or these are the challenges, or or are there any issues that you people identify with this? Please be free to put up any questions or discussions in between as well. That's completely okay.
So
Or maybe Baljit, can I call out names, and if it is okay, maybe
yeah,
I
you can call
can
out name if you want.
some people to start speaking about it.
So yes, Mayuresh. So what do you think about data?
So, sir, I believe that data is quite essential. So, any business decision that we need to take, data-based decisions, like based on the data, if any decision is taken, will always be better than that decision is taken on intuition. So, data firstly will support for decision making in business world. So I feel that statement that the data is the new oil is actually correct in today's world business, where abundant of the data has been generated on micro level.
Okay, got it.
Absolutely, Mayuresh. Thank you so much for that. Is there anybody
Thank you.
else who would want to add anything else?
Yeah, so this is Saurabh. I just want to say that, like, as of today, oil is driving the economy throughout the world. So now data would be something which will drive this. So yeah, so it will drive the economy around. If you have insight, you can run your business and you can make profit. So it's something which will derive the economy around the world.
So
Absolutely.
as Saurabh said, I would like to add. So right now we are learning about the economy. So in future there will be a data economy or data economy. So most of the countries like it's like right now we are calculating the power of the countries with the GDP. So it could be in future with some Harvard articles and Harvard research. They say that in future there could be a like power of the countries could be defined by the amount of data they are having. So it could be a gross data product or something like this.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So thank you so much, Baljit. I think I was expecting at least one of you guys to contradict the statements, or at least come up with a couple of challenges that this particular statement overlooks, right? So let me just add to it. So one of the challenges the whole world, I guess, believes that yes, data is the new oil. One of the foremost challenges with data is being able to collect one right set of data through the right channels, and the second is collecting sufficient volumes of data which can help reach right accuracies of analysis and understanding. Right? Am I right, Baljit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So accordingly, if you see what we do at RAMP is just for an example, one of the data points that we collect is about collecting 62 crore data points that is coming in from every vehicle that is onboarded onto RAMP's platform. So when you're talking about 62 crore data points, these data points are coming in from vehicles of different sort, and there are different kind of data that is coming in, right? From data corresponding to the accelerator and clutch positions of the driver. We are talking about the engine temperatures. We're talking about the battery voltage analysis. We're talking about the piston positions. We're talking about a lot of such information which is derived from these vehicles on a real-time basis. and on our servers we are able to process this data on a real time and translate this data into relevant information for the stakeholders. So when we say relevant stakeholders for the relevant information.
So Amit, for these data points, I would like to add one more thing. Just go for the last slide, last to this.
Yeah.
So as we know that we have collected these many data points, so it's fine. So as you know, if we are not having the good refinery, it can't produce a better from crude oil. It can't produce a useful oil which can be used in the engines or something. So in the same way, just collecting the data is not enough. So building the right refinery, right models to process that data and get the insightful information from that data is very, very important, which you guys are studying right now at Coding Nest in data science. So that's very important thing. So you have to focus on those things as well.
Agree, completely agree to what Baljit said, because yes, definitely I was coming to that particular point. So while we are collecting a lot of data, so let's say one vehicle is giving us 62 crore data points per annum. Just imagine what we have. What happens if we have 100 vehicles or 1,000 vehicles or 10,000 vehicles, or currently we have about 6.5 lakh vehicles which are running on RAM's platform. Just imagine the quantum of data that comes in, and what is the overall potential of the data analysis or the understanding that we can derive through these data sets that we are currently having on our servers. But ultimately what happens is, while a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of articles that you might see generally refer to being able to collect such huge volume of data. But then it's very important for developers or data analysts or data scientists for that matter to be able to understand that unless the data can be correlated to business, real-time business use cases or authenticated practical business use cases, none of the databases or the data which is collected is useful. Ultimately, what you as developers have to understand is how do you translate this data into relevant information, into powerful information which can help in better decision making by giving more insights to the users. They have to have an in-depth understanding of what is going on with their particular use case, and where is it that they have to focus upon, and how is it that they have to take precautionary or corrective steps to ensure that the things that have been planned have been going as exactly how it has been planned. So let me give you an example here. So I'll show you a couple of analytics that we have been doing on our platform. Give me a second. All right. So as far as vehicles are concerned, we have a lot of analysis. Like we are doing fuel consumption analysis of vehicles. We have speed analysis of vehicles. We have analysis of the vehicle utilization. How is the RPM of the engines of vehicles varying over time, and what is the effect of such variation on vehicles? We have acceleration deceleration analysis, the engine load analysis, battery mass, airflow rates, coolant temperatures. Maybe I'll not be able to explain all of these things in this particular session today, but what I can tell you is all of these parameters helps us to identify the vehicle's health. And at the end of the day, we are able to predict we are able to predict not only what is currently going wrong with the vehicles, but also we are able to predict what could go wrong with the vehicle in the next 10 or 15 days time period. Now, if you own one vehicle or if you own two vehicles, this is absolutely not a challenge. You can always come back and say, yeah, I've been able to maintain my vehicles well, so I do not need all of these things. But coming to the business use cases again, like I said, the data has to be relevant to the stakeholders. And for that thing, you'll have to understand how do you identify the relevant stakeholders in the first place. So whom we targeted at is the fleet organizations which own a fleet of vehicles of over 15 numbers. Also, we have clients who have about 1,500 vehicles, clients who have about 5,000 vehicles, clients who have about 10,000 vehicles, and so on. What happens is the operations teams which are responsible to manage the whole fleet uh, are facing a lot of problem in keeping the vehicles on the road, because for a fleet, if the vehicle is not running, it is not earning, right? Every single minute that the fleet is off the road, they have a direct business loss that they're observing on a day-to-day basis. It becomes extremely important for these people to have an understanding of their vehicle health, so that they are able to take proper decisions, or they are able to put the right resources in place beforehand, ensuring that the vehicles are maintained well and thus reduce the vehicle downtime. We have a lot of dashboards that we have created. We give a lot of information to the customers or the users. We have a driver analysis. So while a driver is driving the vehicle, we ensure that we are collecting a lot of data which is used for driver rating analysis, and a lot of parameters on which we are rating the driver on a continuous basis. Now for an example, again, we have to consider a lot of permutations and combinations of possibilities here, because we cannot straight away rate a driver basis his driving behavior in one of his trips, or in a particular period of his vehicle trips. Rather, the system has to be designed in a fashion where the system is able to collect data from the history, compare it to the present, and then being able to predict the future, and hence being able to rate the driver, stating which drivers are safe and which drivers are not, or maybe drivers which need training, and instead coming up with much more precise analysis of which drivers need training on which particular part of a driving. So there's a lot there's a lot of analysis which can definitely be done, but then, as I said, all of this analysis at the end of the day has to make some sense to the users, because until and unless that happens, it becomes very difficult to be able to show value out of what you have actually done or designed here. Again, for example, for us in the set of customers that we have, a lot of customers have average ages of over 50 years, and these people are not people who are very familiar or very technically savvy to use such solutions or systems to understand all of this analysis. Now it often becomes a huge challenge for us to get these systems deployed there and get them habituated to using this. Why? Because maybe there is a possibility that the systems to them look complex. They do not identify systems as enablers, but they identify systems as challenges rather. So your job as designers, or your job as developers, have to be to also understand how the representation of the data can be in a much easier format. So let me I'll again show you something. All right, so maybe I can show you this thing. Okay, so one of our clients who was above 55 years of age, and technology, something to him was quite alien. Now we presented to him the whole solution, and we told them that, if you start maintaining your vehicles on this platform, what happens is you will be able to have a complete control on the kind of expenditure that you're doing on your fleet of vehicles, or you will be able to have an understanding of whether the expenses that you're doing on your fleet of vehicles is genuine, or it's not genuine, or where is it that you can save some more costs, or is there a possibility that your own staff is cheating on you and spending something which was not liable to be spent at this moment in time. And there are a lot of analytics which we were talking to him about. The only statement that he came back to us is, यार मुझे एक पेज पे मुझे सब कुछ दिखा सकते हो क्या? I just need to understand whether which vehicles to focus upon and which vehicles not to focus upon, and that's it. Or he said, maybe I can give me an understanding of my vehicles in such a way that I can give one clear instruction to my staff, and that's it, and everything else should be taken care of. And this particular graph for him, where we told him about the vehicles that he has in his fleet. So this is again a demo data that I'm showing you, but then there is the exact representation of the actual platform that we have. So this graph gives an understanding of the overall vehicles that one has in his fleet, and compared to the age of that particular vehicle, to the age of that particular vehicle, and compare it to the cost of maintenance. This graph gives an understanding of which vehicles which are high on maintenance as compared to their age, and which are vehicles which are low on maintenance as compared to their age. So ideally, if the vehicles are being maintained properly, the greater the age of the vehicle, the cost of maintenance should ideally be lesser, right? And hence, if you divide this particular graph into 4 quadrants, as the age is higher, the cost is lesser. So so quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. So quadrant 3 is the quadrant in which any vehicle or fleet owner would want his vehicles to remain in. Whereas practically our customers started seeing that their vehicles were ideally not in this quadrant, which is acceptable because ideal conditions are not prevalent everywhere. So there were a lot of cases in which the vehicles were in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 was also acceptable, but then there were certain cases in which people saw that there were vehicles in quadrant 1. What does that mean? That means that the age of the vehicles was less, but the cost of maintenance of these vehicles were very high. So the business owners who ideally could not have managed to see information or data coming in from these 1,000 vehicles, and have been able to do an analysis and come to this particular conclusion. This particular graph gives them an understanding in one glance. And the only instruction that these business owners currently pass on to their staff is that I do not want my vehicle to be in quadrant 1 at any given cost. And hence the message throughout the hierarchy below them is very, all the people, all the staff which we have seen, there are in a lot of cases there were staff who were indulged in unethical business practices. These people were dealing with workshops on certain margins whenever they were sending their vehicles for services, and hence the number of times they happened to send the vehicles for services was much higher as compared to the general average. All of these things started curbing down, and today we see that customers are much more happier because they don't see their vehicles in quadrant 1. So this is how technology or system or data should actually start helping these business owners. I gave you an example of the I gave an example of the fleet. Now let me give you an example of the workshops or places where these vehicles get serviced. So when we say that in the workshops or in particularly in the unorganized sector, most of these people had been conducting their businesses through manual process. Now, the moment we started deploying our solutions in these workshops, this solution starts giving them all of these graphical representations. Now, graphical representations within itself doesn't mean anything to these people because A lot of cases, again, you see people who are hardly educated or people who do not understand how to refer to these graphs and so on. There are challenges, right? So you should be able to translate these graphical representations into certain numerical formats where they are able to read it through, they are able to understand it, they are able to compare a particular number set with another number set, and they are able to understand what's going on, what are the good or what are the bad things about this business. So let me give you an example of these two graphs here. So these graphs are nothing but the composition of the types of vehicle which are incoming in a particular workshop. Right? So here I see that that Aston Martin, the flow of Aston Martin vehicles in my workshop is only 7.1%. However, in this graph, if you see, this is the revenue contribution of different brands of vehicles in my business. So 7.1% of Aston Martin vehicles are basically contributing 45.6% of my overall revenues, as compared to Aprilia, which is 14.3% of vehicles and contributing only about 4.3% of overall revenues. So now the comparison between these two graphs basically helps these workshops to understand which vehicles should they focus upon and which vehicles should they not really focus upon. So we were able to help these workshops to come up with better strategies, or we were able to tell them that they should be able to charge much higher for Aprilia vehicles, because they anyways do not want Aprilia vehicles coming in into their workshops, because Aprilia vehicles take the same time to repair or service. Aprilia vehicles take a lot of effort. There's a lot of expertise required. So ultimately, the profitability per unit, or the unit economics that we call in business terms, is not profitable when it comes to Aprilia vehicles. So I would rather charge them higher, even if there are customers who insist me to service their vehicles, or maybe I would not even choose the Aprilia vehicles in the first place. Accordingly, there's a lot of further information that we provide to this workshop, and it becomes extremely important to be able to represent this data and ultimately help businesses to grow their profitability or grow their revenues, right? So with us in our cases, we have seen there is a 30% increase in efficiency of the businesses who are using our platforms, and there is about 20% growth in revenues. When we're talking about profitability, profitability is also something which has improved tremendously, and people have been extremely happy after using our solution and after having an understanding of their business through the tools and provisions that we have provided in our product. So so ultimately all of these things help these businesses provide better services to their customers in return, which is the ultimate goal, because the better the service delivered to the end consumer, the better the prospects of the business growth of these clients who are using our solutions, and ultimately being able to justify the existence of this kind of a platform towards the end. Now, I think I've already covered this particular part. So yeah, so this I'm thankful to Baljit for having included this particular statement. I think this is very, very true. Data will last longer than the systems itself, because today, if you're talking about RAMP as a platform or RAMP as a product, RAMP as a product might be existent, but the relevance that it creates through the data sets or the understanding that it is creating today might be something which could last much longer. The impact of which could last much longer. And ultimately, this is what the ultimate return on investment. This is what would define the ultimate return on investments for the businesses who become a part of our ecosystem. So that's it, guys. I think that was a brief about my understanding of what
Amit,
it's all about. Yes, Baljit?
yeah, go to the last two slides.
This one?
So with the data, we are able to make the better decisions. So at ramp, like if we take example of some products, so with the data points we are getting, we understand that where is the improvement of our product, where we should do the improvement. So such kind of decisions are also being taken if we have the right data sets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You are
So
very right.
that helps us to take those decision makings, even at the ramp level, and even at the our client or the workshop or our end consumer level.
Always has to be either ways, right? Because like you are improving your client's business, it's also important to keep a continuous track of the points or of the issues that helps in making your product or your business better on a day-to-day basis. And hence,
And for the revenue thing, right now if we are having such a lot of transactional data with us, so we are able to analyze that what kind of revenue streams we can create in future, because we are having from oil to from tires to from spare parts, everything is being tracked on our system. So we understand that what kind of things we can what kind of revenue streams we can bring into the system in future or
yeah,
right now.
maybe I can give an example here as well, Baljeet. Okay, so yeah. So if you guys can see here, is my screen visible, Baljeet?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So, like you can see here, these are two graphs which gives an understanding of the spare part consumption pattern in my in a workshop, right? Versus the general service requirements in vehicles. So here I can see I can see that the oil filters that I consume contributes to about 29.8% of the overall consumption. I use oil additives, which contributes 23.5%. Headlight bulbs contribute to about 26.7%, and so on. When we at ramp started analyzing these consumption pattern in the thousands of workshops which are using our platform today, we could clearly understand the consumption pattern of different components or parts in different regions in India, basis different brands and the consumer behavior patterns. So let me give you an example. This is a very classic case study that had come up. This was Ford, right? So Ford Figo's air filter replacement request in the south or in cities like Hyderabad, Bangalore, and so on. The frequency of replacement requests for air filters was much higher as compared to the frequency of air filter replacement requests in the northern regions or cities like Delhi NCR. Companies like Ford, these people were very confused about why is it so that it's happening, because the air quality index in Delhi is much poorer as compared to the air quality index in Hyderabad or Bangalore. Why is it that the air filters requests in Delhi is not higher, but it's higher in Hyderabad and Bangalore? For a very long period, the facts behind this particular problem were not known. Only after a very careful study, having spent months and months of time, they were able to finally come down to a conclusion that one of their manufacturers was basically not following the appropriate standards of manufacturing of this filters, and this manufacturer was responsible for supply of these filters in the southern region of the country. Just imagine during all this period where where this understanding was missing, there was a lots of customer grievance that had grown up. There were a lot of confusion that prevailed amongst the management. There were a lot of supply of a lot of inferior graded products into the market to the customers who have paid equal amounts to purchase the same vehicle, and they have been paying equal amounts for the services, and hence they have been deprived of the quality of services that they could have otherwise availed. Now with this kind of a system, what happens is at one go, there are multiple analyses which are running, and all of this kind of an understanding which is given not only to the workshops or not only to the customers, but it is also for the OEMs and different other stakeholders who are able to understand and identify the right challenges prevailing and the reasons behind these challenges more important. And then people are able to take much better corrective measures, and thus helping them improve customer retention, customer acquisition, and finally everything reflects upon a better revenue generation for these people.
So and one more thing, like we are having a suppose data points of the transactions and the kind of products being used at the workshops. So from that we are able to strategize that what areas has to be positioned or targeted for our product. Suppose we take example of XYZ tire company, so they can just by our system they can make a better decisions. Okay, this area or this cluster is having such kind of demand for tires in these regions in these seasons. So such kind of intelligence also we can create from this kind of data. So these kind of OEMs and these companies, big companies, brands, they can also get leverage of our data which we are building, because our system is totally integrated. Every stakeholders of the aftermarket is on our system. So we can understand with the transactions that what kind of strategy we have to follow for the particular brand. So if there is an oil company or if there is a spare part company, so they can analyze those things, and on the basis of that they can create their production levels, inventory levels at the different stages. So those all strategies can be derived from this data. So anybody wants to ask any question or any clarity on this data and the automotive aftermarket?
Yeah. So how much time do we have left, Baljit?
We are having time.
Okay.
So we are having 45 minutes.
I think I would want this thing to get into a discussion mode. Maybe people who have questions or people who have something to contribute,
Yeah.
I would welcome them to comment, please.
Hey,
Yes.
hi, Amit.
Hi.
Praveen here. Firstly, thank you so much for this fantastic explanation, because the people like me and others who actually joined this meet and who are looking forward to join such kind of work, that is why we are learning this. So thank you so much. It is very useful for us. And see, my question is, from starting to the end, during your explanation, what we understand that this system, this ramp system, is actually useful for the workshops. There are so many data points which you are using and you are applying in your analysis and all. So what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, what I understand, this whole analysis is to identify or to predict, I mean, how much revenue for a workshop. So am I correct? I mean, till that time.
Yeah. So in a way, yes, you are right.
Okay.
But it's not only the workshops, like I mentioned. It is about any stakeholder from the automotive aftermarket. So stakeholders could be the workshops themselves. It could be the a vehicle owner. It could be a fleet company or an organization, an insurance agency. It could be spare part suppliers, or it could be spare part manufacturers as well. So every such business which is directly or indirectly associated with the upkeep of vehicles, right? So it could be tire companies, it could be oil companies, it could be spare part companies, it could be RTO services, it could be RSS services, it could be a school, it could be anything. All the stakeholders or all the businesses who are actually dealing with vehicles. All of these people can be on board.
Okay.
And for
Okay. Okay.
every such stakeholder, we have a separate platform.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say tires, we have a different product. For spare part manufacturers, again, we have a different product. We
All
have
right. All
a
right.
product for insurance
So,
agency.
Praveen, if
Yeah.
we want to make the right market intelligence, so if we do things in bits and pieces, na, like we have created a workshop management system or something. If we sell those all things, there are multiple companies those are doing these things in bits and pieces. So if we want to create the right market intelligence of the automotive aftermarket, so all these stakeholders has to be on same platform, has to be connected to the same platform, be it a vendor, be it a workshop people, be it a consumer. So until unless these all people will not be in a same ecosystem, so you can't make generate better market intelligence.
All right. All right. Yeah. Now I clear about. I mean, my question was that if this system is also uh, beneficial or also be suitable to use for the car manufacturer company, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
got
So
it. Right.
that's why
So
we
yeah.
have
Yeah. So now I clear.
integrated
Now I
everything,
clear.
na?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my next question is there any way, I mean, somehow will this system will be beneficial for the users like you and me who are using cars and something? So is
Yes,
there
absolutely.
any? Yeah.
So we have a mobile application called Moto app, which is available on Android on Play Store, Google Play Store. And on this application, you will not only be able to connect with the workshops for your service booking. So I'm not sure whether you have come across certain service aggregators currently which are present in the market. Maybe Go Mechanic is one that you might have heard of.
Yes, yes, I have heard. Yeah.
Could be there's another company called Carpathy and so on. So all of these are service aggregators who are simply taking your vehicles, going to a workshop, getting the service done, and taking a margin from the workshop against the invoice value that you pay to the workshop for the services, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike that, on our platform, what you will be able to do is one, you'll be able to find the best workshops available around your place. You'll
Mhm.
be able to see the ratings of these workshops on different parameters. It's not only based upon how much a customer rates them. It is based upon their efficiency levels. It is based upon the pricing that they generally charge. It is based upon the customer's rating. It is based upon their internal business efficiency. Efficiencies. It is based upon the expertise of the people that they have or the staff that they have, etc. There are about 11 parameters basis which you'll be able to see the ratings of these workshops. Then you'll be able to invite bid whenever you want to get your vehicle service done. So generally when you want to get your vehicle service done, you check with the workshop or two, right? Here what you do
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Correct.
say that okay fine, I need a regular service, and then the workshops starts reverse bidding, right?
Mm-hmm.
That if somebody says that I'll do it at 1,000 rupees, somebody says that I'll do it at 900, somebody says that I'll do it at 800. So there's internal competition that is created for them, and basis the price, basis the rating of these workshops, basis the way they are dealing, they talk to you or they explain how are they going to handle your vehicle. You will then be able to choose which workshop to get your vehicle service done in, and then you have a service history available there. So you'll be able to compare your vehicle service history with your present service request, and you will be able to evaluate whether what the workshop is charging you is appropriate or not based upon your historical expenses. You have every other vehicle utility provisions which is already integrated in the platform. Like you can renew your insurance right from there. You have availability of accessories, tires, oils, batteries, which are available at highly discounted prices. You have RTO and RSS services pre-integrated into it. So pan India, we've got 18,000 points through which RTO and RSS services would be provided to you within 10-15 minutes whenever you request for one, except for in Jammu Kashmir and Jharkhand. You also have a one very interesting thing about it is you have a community which is built there. So if you own a particular vehicle, again, let's say if you are owning a Hyundai Verna, you as a Hyundai Verna owner will be able to connect with all the Hyundai owners in the country in that particular forum, right? And hence there are three primary kind of activities that happens in the in that forum. One is the vehicle owners interact with each other. So there's a lot of interaction that is happening. So lately there was an inquiry which was coming in. So there was a discussion that was happening in the Audi owners forum in Delhi, where these people were discussing about conducting a rally of Audi vehicles together in Delhi NCR region.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a lot of validation that happens. So there are a lot of instances where people put in questions like, you know what, I sent my vehicle for a service and this mechanic is asking me my shock absorbers changed at 70,000 kilometers. Now, have anybody else here, because it's the same vehicle, can you tell me if this is true or not, or if this is really bad? A lot of other vehicle owners start responding, stating, no, if it is a Hyundai Verna, you don't really need to change your shock absorbers before 1 lakh kilometers unless it's very, very important or it has got completely damaged, right? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
validation that is happening, and slowly we see that there's transaction also that has started happening. So people who want to sell their vehicles are coming onto that to the forum, and they say that, you know what, I want to sell my vehicle. Do you have any references? So people have started passing on references that, okay, fine, one of my friends one of my friends also is looking for a Hyundai Verna because I have been driving a Hyundai Verna. He has seen the vehicle that is a good vehicle, and he is also interested in purchasing the Verna. These are his contacts, right? So what happens? A lot of validated transactions also start happening here. So these are all the features that have been built for a vehicle owner or an individual vehicle owner, rather, I would say, who can register on the platform is free of cost, and they'll be able to make use of it. Though we have not very aggressively started promoting it because it was lately launched, but yeah, probably in the next quarter, I think we should have some better traction on that part.
All right. Thanks, Amit. Thank you so much. So I think some applications like some companies like Cars24
Mhm.
or maybe True Values, these are also working on these kinds of analysis. I mean, not
Yeah,
exactly same, but sort of.
yeah, so they are working on a part of it because these companies generally deal in used vehicle sales. So all the analysis or understanding they need to have is around how they can do their used vehicle business better. But this particular solution, that in the Moto app that I talked about, we also have a provision of buying and selling new or old used vehicles.
Yeah. Correct.
So in that thing, what the value addition to the users is, since your vehicle's history is also available in the app itself, whenever you want to sell your vehicle, you're able to prove the
Mm.
credibility of your vehicle in a much more effective manner. So whosoever the prospective buyer is, he would know that, okay, by looking at your vehicle's history, if you share it with him, he would know that, okay, fine, the vehicle has been maintained well, or the vehicle has not been maintained well as well. But then the value addition is that the buyer will get a much better understanding of your vehicles, and he'll be able to come up with a much better pricing. Because if the vehicle has been maintained well, a used car buyer generally tends to pay higher. All right.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So building value for both. He gets a better quality product, and you get a better value for your vehicle which you sold. Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Amit. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
so,
Yeah, Amit,
any other?
Mitesh here.
Hi, Amit.
Hi.
Sorry, Mitesh. Hitesh here.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
There is one request to revisit on the revenue slide, which you've just shown. I just want to understand how you evaluated this growth percentage would be increased by 20%. Can you explain that bit again, if time allows?
Yeah. Just give me a second, please. This one? Or this one, you mean? This one?
Yes.
All right. So what happens is, there are a lot of. So first, I'll talk about the efficiency and then the growth, or then the revenue, or do you only want revenue?
No, I mean, if it is how it is correlated also. I mean, so both could be
All right.
covered.
So what happens is, when we're talking about efficiency, we have different stages. We collect different data points. So let's say, for an example, what is the time taken for a particular service personnel to replace the clutch set of a Hyundai Verna? against the time taken by the same guy to replace the clutch set of a Honda City, against another guy who is replacing the clutch sets in Hyundai Verna and Honda City, right? Accordingly, we are able to understand the turnaround times at various levels for various work activities, for various vehicles, models, brands, different permutations and combinations. And we are able to understand which of these workers or the technicians or mechanics are more efficient and which are people who are not. People who are not, the system notifies to the workshop owners that find these are the people who are not doing very well in these particular aspects or in these particular work activities, and maybe they have to be replaced or they have to be trained. Yeah. So the workshop guys have now been able to take better decisions in spending their cost towards the training of such personnel, or maybe spending a bit higher and getting better experts in place of people who are not highly efficient. So that is one case in terms of the workshop. Whereas when we are talking about in case of a fleet, the same thing goes. So let me give you an example. So we have a client in Karnataka who is into mining. All right. So these people have a lot of dumpers. So these dumpers, trucks with huge trailers in which they dump the earth and they take it for mining, take it for processing. What happens is these dumpers are extremely costly vehicles. So we are not talking about the regular trucks, or we are not talking about the regular buses. These dumpers are dumpers which each one of them cost about 6 crores, 6.5 crore rupees, right? And this particular company wanted to place an order for 40 new dumpers, and just before that they happened to deploy our solution. We asked the owner of the company to wait for some time, start looking at the analysis that we are building for them in the solution. And eventually, about 6 months later, the company decided not to purchase the new 40 dumpers. Why? Because they were able to very clearly understand that the existing dumpers were underutilized. When we say underutilized, there were incidences where the drivers, whenever they were doing the trips, they parked the vehicles in between, they slept for a while, and then they got the vehicle back to the site. Or the vehicles which had gone to a workshop were lying idle in the workshop for a longer period in time as compared to the average. Now, the moment we started giving them this understanding that the existing vehicles are much underutilized, they started focusing their complete energy in making better use of their existing vehicles, and hence they were able to save 100% of the cost that they were going to spend upon the purchase of new vehicles, right? Similarly, the story with different other stakeholders in which for whom we have helped in various ways, and the growth for each of these guys in terms of improving their efficiency is at different levels. In terms of revenues, when we are helping them save on efficiency, these people have more output, and when they have more output, they have more profitability. When they have more profitability, the profitability is offered as discounts, or the additional profitability that they now have is offered as discounts, or is offered as certain value addition to their customers, because of which the customer retention is improved, and because of which the customer is happier to get back to the same set of service providers over and over again. Hence the increase in growth of revenue as well. Does that answer your question, Hitesh?
I was more looking towards the how you reach till that number. I mean, how that calculative, that 30% increase of efficiency gives you a 20% growth. Is it about an average calculation or tentative calculation?
So for this presentation, I have used an average growth percentage here, for taking from different stakeholders. But then if you are going back to the actual system calculation, then those things are based upon different parameters, different permutations and combinations. There are a lot of things. I'm not very technical, But yeah, the IPs that we have built is around the algorithms that we have built to predict the growth percentage of different aspects.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, Amit, Mitesh this side.
Hi, Mitesh.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for giving so much insight. Basically, just out of curiosity, since you guys have lot many data points are available, and in fact, you guys are many times you are using lot many analysis and visualization. In a way, you are using exploratory data analysis.
Mhm.
So, just out of curiosity, say for an example, if say for an example, somebody has to buy another vehicle, and and can we get some kind of an intelligence decision, like looking at it performance,
Happy that you
budget,
put the question.
constraint, and everything, because aftermath is very important. So can we get some kind of an intelligent decisions of which vehicle to go for it? Means
Absolutely.
yeah, so
So,
can we get something out of that from your platform? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm very glad you have put up this question. So yeah, so this concern of yours gets addressed in two ways. All right.
Okay.
One that I talked about the community that we have built. All right. So let's say if so today I own an Innova. All right. So if I have to upgrade from Innova, I might rather look for a BMW 3 Series or an Audi A3 or maybe a Fortuner or maybe a vehicle of that kind, right? So what would happen is the best validation that can always come in from is from the users. I hope
Yeah,
you
correct.
agree to that part, right?
Yeah, correct.
Because if you're going with the company specifications, or there are multiple platforms currently which are available in India today, on which you have classified information of the vehicles and the technical details available for reference, right? But then the problem is all of that information is information which has been provided by the OEMs and our information which have been generated by testing the vehicles under ideal conditions, right? So that might not give a very true understanding of which vehicles are the best. Here in our system, in the community, what we can do is we can connect a particular customer who wants to buy a particular vehicle to the users who have already been using this vehicle over a period of time. Okay, so
Okay.
a Hyundai Verna owner can connect himself to a community of a Toyota Altis, Corolla Altis, or maybe a Mahindra XUV. This is his choice. And in that community, he can post in his questions. He can have real-time feedback from the owners of these vehicles, from people who have been vehicles, and he can directly get a validation on any question that he has. Right. Secondly, the other way of doing it is basis the data that we are capturing in the system, we'll also be able to show the cost of maintenance of a vehicle over a period of time. So let's say what is the cost of
बताता हूँ
so
बताता हूँ बताता
today the cost of maintaining a Ford EcoSport. I'm sure most of us might have had seen those advertisements of Ford vehicles, which says that maintenance is not higher than 3,000 rupees per maintenance or 6,000 rupees per maintenance cycle and so on.
Yeah, correct.
Now, what we can do is we can have this information which is present in our system, which can be shown up to these users, showing them how does the cost of maintenance of a vehicle vary over a period of time, or what is the cost of maintenance of a vehicle of a Hyundai Verna in 3 years, what is the average cost of maintenance of a Hyundai Verna in 5 years, in 7 years, and in 10 years. And accordingly, we will also be able to show them what is the best price that he can get out of a vehicle which is 3 years old and maintained in this fashion, which is 5 years old and maintained in this way, which is 7 years old and maintained in this way. Right? So these are all analysis which are currently under development, but yes, definitely there is a lot of contribution that is going to happen in this particular area.
Yeah, thanks, Amit. Yeah.
Hi, Amit. This is Mayuresh. So, firstly, thank you for the great insights that you have given. So, I had a general question surrounding the data. So,
Uh-huh.
there are some solutions like telematics based insurance which are quite popular in US, UK and all those geographies. However, India is yet to use such kind of data for charging for insurance. So
Yeah.
when will India be able to harness such kind of data potential and bring such kind of products?
Yes, sir. Already started doing it, Mayuresh. You see here, we have started building analysis for insurance agencies, for insurance analytics, right? Basis the vehicle, basis the driver, basis the maintenance of the vehicle, and basis a lot of other factors. We are now trying to evaluate or understand which vehicles are low risk vehicles, and which are vehicles which are at a higher risk. And accordingly, the cost of insurance can actually vary. User-based insurance in India has not yet been legalized, but then yes, definitely government is taking a lot of measures and steps towards it. Maybe in a very short frame of time after 2020, we will see this will start happening in India, for which this kind of data and analysis would be directly. Does that answer your question,
Yes,
Veeresh?
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hi, Hamid. This is Shreyash here.
Yeah.
So I had like a couple of questions.
Yeah.
One will be like, so you said in your initial slides, like you are acquiring around 62 crores of car information or vehicle information.
Yeah.
So does this on data is only for India or like it is throughout the world? What first question will be this?
Okay. So it see a lot depends upon the vehicle's technology as well, right? So currently, yes, we are operational in India. We have very recently started off with our Middle East operations in a couple of African countries as well. But then the focus area in each of these geographies is a bit different. As far as India is concerned, we have been working with a couple of clients where clients use vehicles which are very advanced in technology or are compliant with BS6, have open ports. Technically speaking, not all vehicles give out all the data, right? So in order to be able to collect such high volumes of data, the vehicle should be compatible with the hardware devices which collect this information at the end of the day, right?
Yes, correct. So that was my the other question. Like in India, I don't think like more than 20-30 crores of data a vehicle will be like automated or a digital or it is integrated or connected with the Wi-Fi or internet kind of thing. So how did you acquire all this data? Like what was the main source point from which like you get all these informations or data?
Maybe Shreyas, you'll have to repeat your question. The 12-13 crore data point is what exactly are you?
The question is like in India, when you say like you have this vehicle information or like vehicle runtime information like mileage or so this kind of information is only extracted when we have something integrated in our vehicle, some hardware or something which have internet connectivity, right?
Yeah.
But in India, we are not yet at that level. Like we can apart from some companies, like we don't have a vehicle which is integrated with internet kind of thing or IoT kind of thing. So how do you tackle this situation? Like the vehicle which is integrated with internet or IoT kind of thing is very less in India as compared to the US market or the outside world market.
Of course. So in India, you see the trend has not yet picked up. Maybe
yes.
Very recent releases of vehicles like MG Hector or a couple of Hyundai vehicles have come up with this connected vehicle technology. But then what we are working upon is something different as compared to what you are talking about. Right? What we are talking about is having our own devices which are plugged into these vehicles. Right?
Okay.
Every vehicle has a port called an OBD port, onboard diagnostics, it is called. Right? So our devices are plugged into these OBD ports, and our devices are able to collect this information, various levels and various kinds of information from these vehicles, and they are able to, on a real-time basis, are able to stream that data to our servers. Okay, it's not necessary that the vehicles vehicles come in with inbuilt Wi-Fi or inbuilt connected vehicle technology. So if there is a customer who wants to adopt our
Okay.
technology, it really doesn't matter with what kind of a vehicle it is. We can make it we can make it internet enabled. But the challenge is the internal technology of the vehicle or the ECMs that the vehicle has, or the electronics that the vehicle has. It has to support the collection of such information from our devices. So in simple terms, BS3 vehicles or BS4 vehicles doesn't allow collection of a lot of data. Technically, those vehicles are not equipped, right? But for BS6 vehicles, you see there's a lot more information. There are about 194 parameters that can be collected out of these vehicles through such devices.
So does it depend upon the engine type, BS6 or BS4, like from which we
Yeah.
can collect the data? Okay.
So the primary reference is the engine type BS4, BS6, but then it's not only the engine, it is also about a lot of other aspects in the vehicles. But you see BS6 vehicles are generally vehicles which are coming up with upgraded technology overall. And hence we refer to stating that BS6 vehicles are the best vehicles currently to collect this data from.
So in the similar lines, so do you collaborate with the car makers in adding your hardware with the car, or is it like the person who owns the car?
No, so we don't intend to currently tie up with the OEMs. What we do is we generally partner with the fleet organizations. In the B2C segment or individual customer segment also is something that we have not yet ventured into. Maybe in the future we would definitely explore that, but currently the focus is towards the fleet. Because what happens is, if you're talking about a fleet organization generally maintains a mixture or composition of different brands and models of vehicles, right? And for him, it becomes very difficult. So let's say, for an instance, if a fleet owner or a company has vehicles from Hyundai, from Maruti, from Tata, from Toyota, from Mercedes and BMW as well, it could be possible that BMW and Mercedes are connected vehicles, and here Hyundai is a connected vehicle, but Maruti is still not connected, Toyota is still not connected, Tata is still not connected, and there could be other models of brands also which are not connected. So for a fleet owner, it becomes extremely typical and difficult to manage one different platform. So if Hyundai is connected, he'll have to manage or use the Hyundai's platform to analyze Hyundai's data. For Mercedes, he'll have to use Mercedes platform to analyze data, and for BMW, he has to use BMW.
Yes.
But again, it becomes a huge challenge for him to maintain and use all of these platforms together. What we do is, doesn't matter what brand of vehicles you have, right? Just plug in our devices. All the data start coming into one centralized platform, and through one centralized platform, you will be able to monitor the complete health of all of your vehicles right from there. So that is the convenience that we are providing additionally to these people.
Okay. Thank you, Amit. Thank you for your wonderful insights about the automotive.
Yeah. So we have any other questions?
Yes, Amit. This is Yogesh here. Thank you for your information. Just one doubt from my end. Let's say if I'm a user of this platform and I'm planning to buy a new car, and let's say for an example it's Maruti Suzuki Swift Sports. So now this car has not entered the Indian market, and let's say I'm the very first buyer of this product. So in that case, will this prediction analysis help, because the data is not available for this specific car with us? So in that case, I guess how do we come with the results? Like, was it the exact analysis of the car, or was it some goof ups with the driver also? So how do you come up with this?
All right, Yogesh. So what we'll have to first understand is all that we are talking about is primarily driven by data, right? So data science, data analytics, data intelligence, data whatever that we are currently referring to or discussing about, everything happens provided there is a data set that is available. But you have a good question. What happens in case there's no data available? So in case there's no data available, I guess I would thank you for putting this into my notice as well, because now I understand that there is another thing that has to be done in our product as well. But what can be done is understanding the type of engines that these vehicles use, because you see most of these engines are coming in from very few engine manufacturers in the world, right? So the Tata and Maruti both have been using Fiat engines. A lot of European vehicles use Fiat engines. A lot of vehicles use engines coming in from Toyota. A lot of engines coming in from Suzuki and so on. So what happens is we can start analyzing this information. In case there is no data available against a particular car, there would certainly be data which is available against the type of the engines that this vehicle would have, or the other set of common parameters that these vehicles would have. Maybe we can build some analytics which would help a better understanding, at least giving a basic understanding to a prospective buyer about the kind of a vehicle it could be. But referring to going by the current standards of the systems or the solutions that are either otherwise available in the market or is available in RAM, no, there's no provision with which that particular analysis can be done.
Okay, thanks, Amit. Thank you so much.
Do we have any other questions, guys? How much time are we left with, Baljit?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. So
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So do we have anybody else?
Guys, do you have any other question for Amit or Baljit?
Yeah, I have a small doubt.
Yeah.
See, as you said, you are like the major customer are who are owning the fleet vehicles. So how do you see like a vehicle can be driven by one or the other driver, and you say you also measure the driver performance. So how do you know this time a particular this
Yeah.
driver's driving? So do
I
you
got
have a
it.
login mechanism or something like that?
No. So what happens is the kind of intelligence that has been built in, the system is able to identify different driving patterns and behaviors, right? So let's say if you are driving a vehicle, your accelerator positions, the clutch positions, the combination of acceleration and clutches or the gear shift patterns are different as compared to any other driver. So until currently what we have seen, that this has been pretty much unique to every driver, and hence the system is able to differentiate the shift in driving patterns. Maybe we cannot, maybe there are instances where if we do not have the driver details, we will not be able to tell who exactly was driving the vehicle, but we can surely tell them that yes, that there was a driver who got changed at this moment in time. So this is a practical use case which actually came in as an inquiry from one of our customers. They said what happens is they have a huge volume of trucks which is driven between different cities. So let's say Hyderabad and Ahmedabad. What happens is the driver is supposed to be driving the truck, but eventually in between the cleaner takes over and the driver is drunk and is sleeping back in the back, and which is a very high risk factor, because the vehicles are carrying goods worth crores of rupees, and in case there is any mishap that happens, the company is responsible for it. So the company wanted to know if the driver is not behind the wheel, or is the cleaner coming in. So the system is able to predict and understand whether there was a change in driver or not. If the users or the fleet company has already fed in the driver details as well. We are able to identify it right to the driver that yes, this particular driver changed at this particular time, and this is the other driver who came in and started driving the vehicle at this particular moment in time. We are able to do that. Does that answer it?
That's a great solution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing, like you told, like you can measure a worker efficiency. Like you told one example in a particular garage. If suppose a worker A is taking this amount of time in changing the brake pad, suppose, and a worker B is taking this amount of time. So, like, how do you calculate that particular time, like, for calculating?
So every technician basically has an application, and
Okay.
every technician is able to mark a start time and a stop time.
Okay.
And that's how we capture the time taken against each work item that these people have been working upon. Now, I'm sure there is another question which would come up, whether these technicians are able to do it or not, or why will they even do it, right?
Right.
What happens? See, if you're talking about a general human tendency, so again, if you're talking about making business sense out of data, there's a lot of psychology also that is involved. I would suggest each one of you to start reading psychology as well, because you have to understand how is it that a particular customer behavior is going to change when there is a particular data point that changes. All right. So what happens here is, in fact, the workshop owners came to us and they said that we are not able to track our technician productivity. We asked them to get this particular solution used by these technicians. A couple of them experimented and they came back to us stating, boss, this guy actually took 30 minutes of time to do it, but then he stopped it within 5 minutes, just because he wanted to show me that he's more efficient. Right? Now, while we were trying to understand how is it that this particular user behavior can be handled, the solution actually came in very, very natural. After 30 days time period, the total, if that particular workshop owner, the moment he sat down and started summing up the 5 minute intervals of that particular technician who marked the vehicle to be the work to be completed in 5 minutes, the total time, the time that he worked for was showing the value of that particular time was much lesser than the total time that he should have actually worked for, right? So let's say he had done 10 jobs in the whole month, and each job had should have ideally taken, let's say, 1 hour. So the total that he should have worked for is 10 hours, as compared to the system data that is showing that he has only worked for 30 minutes, or he marked the vehicle completed in a much lesser time as compared to what it should have ideally taken. So the owner was now able to get back to the same guy and ask him, where were you in the rest of the time? Because at 3, you should have been allotted other work. So start doing more work. Next month, this fellow started marking a higher time. All right. So when he started marking a higher time, the owner started questioning that you are less efficient because the other people are able to do it in an average time of 1 hour, as compared to you, whom I see that you have been doing it in 1.5 or 2 hours. And hence, from the 3rd month, these people started marking it very, very appropriate. So a solution came in very, very naturally.
Yeah, it's a good trick. Correct. Thank you, Amit, for the session. Yeah.
So I think a couple of last questions in case there are any.
Anyone? Okay, I think then I think thanks everyone for attending the session. Special thanks to both Amit and Baljit for giving this informative talk on aftermath automotive domain, and hopefully everyone has got something out of it. And the key important point is the data, and basically data is the oil of every industry. I think with this note, let's call off this session. And next topic which we are planning next week is basically feature engineering, which is again the component of a data science life cycle. So thanks for attending the session and thanks for being the part of the community. Take care, then signing off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.